you, Donna.
Okay,
So
guys, welcome back to another edition of Lawyered Up. If you tuned in on Tuesday, you will remember that I told you we were going to have a special report today concerning the drug rehab frauds. The story that we published earlier, there is a link in the description of this video if you wanted to go back and read that. Also, we're going to be talking about both the United American Indian Involvement, Inc. and the Jarrod's Law Foundation. There are a link to both of those websites in the description of this video. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Jonna Kreiner, who contacted us after we published the original story, saying that she was the one that was in the Blue Cross and Blue Shield lawsuit. So we're going to be hearing from her, and also we're being joined by Karen Gold, which is her legal representation. In addition to them, we are being joined by Hope Craig-Corlew, who is Board Chairwoman for United American Indian Involvement, Inc., which is a group in California. I think you guys are based out of Los Angeles that helps natives and has been tracking this problem as well. And we might be getting joined by Wendy McIntyre, public safety advocate and founder of the Jarrod's Law Foundation. She just hasn't jumped into the meeting yet, so if she does jump in, we'll hear from her. So to start off with, thanks so much, guys, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Jonna, I wanted to ask you first to start off with, to give the audience an idea of what's going on here. Could you tell us your experience with Asana recovery, how you got recruited, and what happened?
Sure. Actually, I want to say it was a cousin or a friend from the area around Creek Nation where I resided, and I'd been watching it. You see other natives that have gone to rehab in California, and they come back and they do talk to their citizens and send them out to California too if you're needing help. So I think in my mind I thought, okay, not only do I need the help, but maybe I could actually go there and come back and do something for my people. Because a lot of us struggle with it. There's not a family member in the tribe or a family in the tribe that doesn't know someone that struggles with addiction, whether it be alcohol, whatever their drug is, meth, fentanyl's now out. So I really went out there with the intentions of not just helping myself, but being able to come back. And in my mind at the time, I was going to be sending them somewhere good, because when I was recruited, I saw a friend on Facebook. I asked him, how things were, if I could keep my cell phone. Absolutely, you can. He had his cell phone. He was posting on Facebook. So my daughter, I sent her the information. My daughter's 34 now. She was 32 at the time. She looked into it for me and was contacted by what is called a body broker now. I believe her name was Kimberly Brave. Yes. And I actually didn't sign anything. My daughter signed a promissory note that we would pay for the plane, or pay back for the plane ticket that they pay for us to get out there. When they recruit you, they tell you that you're going to get treatment, and it's going to be in the beach, and it's going to be relaxing, and it's going to really help our mental health as well. And that unfortunately was not the situation. When I caught the flight and I landed in California, I'm assuming there's going to be a nice business person or someone in medical clothes or something that is going to pick me up. It was not the case. I'm overweight, but the guy was overweight, wearing slouchy clothes, just grungy looking, and he didn't even have me put my luggage in the car, nothing. And it was an old van. So I'm immediately texting my daughter, telling her, this is awful. There's something wrong with this guy. And I was sitting in the van, and he stopped at a store to go in and get cigarettes. but he was literally digging in the inside of his mouth. And I'm thinking, this guy's on something. So he's driving a bit erratically to me. So I'm still texting my daughter. My daughter's, when you're an alcoholic or have had issues in the past, whatever, no one wants to see you. So of course, when I messaged my daughter, she's just like, Mom, you're just trying to get out of it. You need to try it. You just stay there. Just stay there. So we arrive at the house. I get out. I'm thinking I'm going to go in. There's going to be a place where they triage me and, Karen, help me. What do you call it? Detox. Something. That was not the case. The garage door opened. I was put in the garage. They closed the garage door, and I was triaged in the garage, or admitted. And at that time, I was told that I'd be there for 30 days. My husband and I at the time had a business going, so I told them that I needed to be able to have access to my cell phone so we could work. Oh, that was no problem. But the minute I get there, they take everything. My clothes, my phone, my wallet, everything. They even took my meds, and they were not given to me, I believe. Well, let me back up. So from there, I'm telling him I'm not staying here 90 days. They were trying to make me sign for 90 days, and I said absolutely not. I said I was told 30 days. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I signed for. Mm-hmm. And so then at this time, when they do talk to my daughter, they're basically telling her, oh, she just wants out so she can have another drink. This is typical of them. And it wasn't. That's not what was typical of me. What was typical is knowing right from wrong. And where they messed up with me is Native Americans, especially a lot of the ones that drink heavily, tend to be poor, and really need help. And I am fortunately blessed with a husband who works really hard, and at the time we could afford to get me back home. And when we got there, so then they put me behind a partition and tell me to get undressed. I'm like, I have my own clothes. No, they have to wash everything, they said, in case I smuggled in drugs. I said, I don't do drugs. I only drink, and I don't drink liquor. I just drink beer. And she said, we still have to do this. So they put me behind a partition in this garage, those 3-panel things. I was put behind one of those, and they handed me a t-shirt and some like men's gym shorts or something. And they kept me in a room till like, I don't know, it was 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning, when it was really late, and I had been up all day. And at any rate, so I believe it was Dr. Small is who they had me talk to, and he didn't like some of the medications that I was on, and he was going to change it. But he finally agreed with the tech that was there with me that night that I'd had enough and that they could finish it the next day. The next morning I got up, talked to the doctor again. I can't remember everything, but he took me off of a medication and put me on a different one. And I asked why. I wasn't really given a lot of answers. And I just started, at that point, I'm still just questioning everything. Mm-hmm. And so as the 7 days go by that I was there, like there was really no therapy. I laid on the couch and probably watched 3 or 4 seasons of Law and Order, and when we did have what they called therapy, we were put in front of the TV to watch meditation videos. That was our therapy. And we were lucky, one time we were taken over to the neighborhood park to get out and walk around it one time and come home. As far as July 4th goes, the day I literally had to escape the place. July 4th comes, And the day before, we were told we were all going to get to go to the beach. Another Native guy, I wish I'd kept everyone's names and traded numbers, but another guy comes in and he's not agreeing with everything. He wants to leave. They won't give him his belongings. And I had already asked for mine, and they tell us we've already signed something saying that we couldn't leave the facility. I said, I don't recall signing anything like that. Well, yeah, you did. And so if you leave, this is where they start the bullying. If you leave, you can't have any of your belongings for 7 days, and we'll have to ship them home to you. In my mind, I'm not a stupid person. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was illegal, and I knew I had to get out of there. So when they weren't manning the door area, and I literally, let me explain one more thing. The night before this happened, I was very upset because the girl that came in said, hey, what meds are you supposed to have? I said, aren't you a CMA? Don't you know what you're giving out? No, she had just gotten out of rehab herself. They graduated her into a job. And at that point, I was like, no, I want my belongings. I want out. So the next morning, I got up still feeling the same way. Another guy was feeling the same way. He was like, no, there's something wrong here. They kept our belongings from us. And so at any rate, when they weren't manning the door, I just beelined out of there. And I ran. I went to a neighbor that was in her yard across the street, and I asked her, could I use her phone? And she was like, don't you think you really need to stay there? I'm like, no, absolutely not. So I run on further down the street. It's 4th of July, mind you. Everybody's having 4th of July parties in the neighborhood. It's all great. If I was looking for a drink, I would have went to one of those parties and chilled out and, whatever. But I was literally fearful of what they were doing, not just to me, but the other people that were in there with me. They prey on the homeless. They prey on the natives. They prey on anyone that they can. They tell you how to sign up for Blue Cross Blue Shield to be out there. Where I was different is we had Blue Cross Blue Shield through my husband's job. So I'm not the poor Native American from the reservation that's just a drunk alcoholic that's going to sit out here because it's better to be out here than where they're from. I have a family, I have grandkids, I have things that I live for, that I live and breathe for, and this place was not going to get me the help that I needed, and I just knew I had to get out of there.
Just for a quick clarification for the audience, this was in 2023, correct?
Yes, July 4th.
Yes, just so
July 4th was the day I left.
Yes. Okay. Just so the audience doesn't think it was this July.
No.
Yes. So, I wanted to thank you, Jonna, before we go any further, because it takes a lot of courage to come on the program and tell what happened to you. And I know it can be traumatizing to have to even talk about stuff like this. So I wanted to thank you for coming on here and spreading the word to other citizens and other natives and other people generally, because this is not just a problem that's affecting just Native Americans. It's been going on for a long time. I wanted to talk to Ms. Craig-Corlew quickly to talk about their organization and what they're seeing in the investigations that they've had. Ms. Corlew, could you speak a little bit about how these frauds have affected natives in you guys' neck of the woods?
Sure. First, I want to say hello to Donna too, because it does take a lot of courage, Donna, for you to share that experience, and my heart goes out to you because no one should go through what you have gone through. But that happened to you in 2023, and here we are in 2026. Jarrod, and it's still happening. Our organization, United American Indian Involvement, we've definitely been impacted by this. We started to notice it probably about maybe 3 years ago. I've been here for 4 years, and we saw it in Orange County, but now we're starting to see it here in LA County. But from what I'm learning, This has been going on for years. And you're right, it's the Blue Cross Blue Shield. In Oklahoma, what we learned, it was called, they call it Indian insurance or the golden insurance. There's something about this insurance that has a target on Native Americans. And true, you're right, Jarrod, it's impacting everyone. But for Natives, we have to get to the bottom of why it's called Indian insurance and why we have a target on our backs. Since I've had our team, and the reason why I have our team here is because I wanted them to hear John's story, and I wanted them to really understand that these individuals, our people come through the door, they're a victim first. That's how we're addressing it. They're victims first. Since we've been documenting this, which really now it's been a couple of weeks, we have established a task force. We have 34 documented people right now. And the last couple of days, last week, I was working with a family. Their 19-year-old came here for treatment from Albuquerque. Went missing 2 days later, was found in a mental health facility because the young man somehow got a hold of some LSD or something. We coordinated with the family, was able to provide some emergency assistance. Because like Jonna said, not everybody's able to call back home and get resources to go back home. That's where UAII has been able to fill in the gap. We don't get resources, so that's another impact. That's a financial strain on us. We don't get resources. So we were able to work with that family and many of families to provide that financial resource to the families. I was able to mobilize emergency funding within 12 hours. Families back home now. The next day, we had 6 people coming to the office. What was it? Today, we had 4 people coming to the office. Our office.
All Natives, Hope?
All Natives. All I'm talking about are all Natives.
Mm-hmm.
Office manager brought to my attention, we had a call that they want to bring 17 people in the office.
Oh my
The numbers are climbing. We are getting no support from no one. We've spoken to the Department of Justice. Their response was, let me connect you to another organization. What is that organization going to do? It's a crime. We're talking about crimes here.
Yep.
Yes.
We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about people's uncles and aunties. But the thing that hurts me the most, they're using our tribal members as recruiters, right?
Yes.
Yes, and I wanted to just jump in there really quick because to let the audience know, if you go and take a look at the story that we did, Kimberly Brave, who Jonah mentioned, she is currently the Osage Nation program manager for the Osage Nation Family Violence Prevention Department. And she was also, like, they just ran a story on her where she had the blood on her face thing from a
MMIW, the red.
MMIW meaning, which is one of the big factors in that is trafficking. So it's an unbelievable thing to have her, who is participating in this, also going out and being a spokesperson for MMIW issues. The other thing I wanted to mention is Wendy has not joined, but she did send me a very good synopsis of where the Blue Cross and Blue Shield case is right now. And I just wanted to read you some information from the email that she sent me so that the audience could at least get that information. She says, I have been investigating Asana for several years, ever since I was contacted about a death at the facility. Since then, I have shepherded all of the witnesses and worked closely with the attorneys representing Blue Cross. Dozens of victims were referred to Blue Cross's attorneys. And since then, even more victims have come forward. The facility has been allowed to stay open because the Department of Healthcare Services in California allowed them to retain their outpatient license. As a result, Asana simply turned every single house into a sober living home where there is no oversight whatsoever, and the operation has quadrupled in size. This is the exact reason I wrote the Escape Act. This behavior is not new to Asana either. The owners were previously affiliated with a facility that faced the same types of problems, but because of DHCS's weak licensing system for private pay insurance facilities, ownership was easily able to restructure and reopen under a different name, and nothing changed. I am a firm believer that nothing changes if nothing changes. What makes this case especially urgent to me is the pattern I've uncovered over the last several years. Native American patients, including Mvskoke and Osage citizens, being trafficked into these facilities through insurance and body brokering schemes, then discarded once their benefits ran out. Asana is one of many facilities across California and the country doing this, and has taken a devastating toll on tribal communities. It's time to shine a disinfecting light on it. So I just wanted to get that in there in case Wendy never jumps in, and you guys should go check out her website, because I do think that is important information as well. And I wanted to thank...
Could I say one more thing?
Yes, go ahead, Joanna.
I also think that with the situation that's going on and how it's affecting our Native American people, I did talk to our chief. I did tell him what happened to me out there. Everything, I was just brushed aside. I called Blue Cross Blue Shield. I told them, don't pay that bill. I didn't receive any therapy while I was there. No medications, nothing. And so at some point, our tribe has to feel accountable as well. And I understand that we've built a rehab, but why are we not promoting that as a tribe, as the nation? Why are we hiding things and sending our people somewhere else? Because I know for a fact that even council reps are sending people to California. So who's getting the kickbacks everywhere there is something I'd like to know.
Do you know, could you say what councilmen are referring people? Are they referring them to Asana?
I'd rather not, because I've had a target on my back for a long time, and we do have a suit that...
I see. Okay. Karen, I see you want to jump in there, Karen.
Well, I don't claim to know anything about tribal leadership or anything other than I have other cases. I have Jonna's case. I have another case with a gentleman who's not a tribal citizen who was badly treated at Asana. Several years ago, I represented the family of John McClister, who died withdrawing from alcohol at Asana as the staff were turned their back on him playing a card game. And on the surveillance, we saw him dying of a seizure 6-7 hours after he got there. So the place should be shut down just because of all the shoddy care. But when you see body brokering, you're going to see shoddy care. They go hand in hand. When you see a bad rehab that participates in body brokering, whether they're paying the patients to stay at the end of the stay so they can get the insurance money, however they're corrupting the people who are there or corrupting tribal citizens who think they're doing good. My attitude is that people want to do good for their people, and they're sort of being enticed to do that. But what I see in my other cases, and then so in the McClister wrongful death case that I handled against Asana, and then another gentleman, Javier Avila from Stockton, California, he was really mistreated there too, a little bit before Jonna went there. And all of them said the same thing. You know, when they brought things up that weren't right there, they were really, she's not even going into how badly she was treated. She was mistreated, abused. They stood at the door, wouldn't let her go outside to see the sun.
I will never go to a rehab facility.
Yeah, and not only that, I just want to speak to this because Jonna, you know, she has a history of severe mental illness, PTSD, very serious problems that disabled her at one point in her life. They knew that. They took her claiming to be able to handle severe mental health. So that director is a bad director. That director is the director of many Southern California rehabs. Christopher Small, Blue Cross Blue Shield has not settled with him. How can you possibly do a telemedicine appointment that's meaningful when you give someone a minute? You don't care about their mental health, you care about the money. And so I have other cases, sort of going back about what you said, it's not just your tribal community. 2 wrongful death cases, a total of 11 children whose parents died as a result of a 55 Silver, another bad actor in the Southern California area. I've recently resolved with them. They were heavily recruited, and they were recruited online on Facebook by, in one case, a gentleman called Matthew Buffalohead, who I sued. We've settled with the generally settled. But that person was claiming to be the cousin and the brother and really promoting that he was the Native American citizen brother that everyone should go to. After Novita Jarvis died, slit her neck in the place she never should have been. Her children are gone. What I'm saying is that gentleman he admitted he was getting $500 a person. Okay, so there are bad actors out there, even tribal citizens, and there are also good people trying to do good who are corrupted by the bad places they never see. They buy all the stuff. They buy the flashy websites. And I guess my only message right now is please go back to your community and tell everyone, if you're withdrawing from alcohol, if you need to withdraw, a general hospital is the best place to do it, not some non-medical place in California. Any place is better than that right now, because when I first started handling these cases 15 years ago, you would see some here and there. You would see a few where there was some bad stuff going on, body brokering. But usually it was just people, good intended, made mistakes and someone died. Now, I'm just telling you, the landscape is mostly body brokering, mostly recruiters, and they push to people on Facebook when they're weak and they go after them and you need a rehab. Oh, how'd you do? They act like they know the person. Someone may have just gone through rehab. They think they're doing fine. They recruit them to come back. So I just think criminal conduct, it's hard to anticipate that much criminal conduct because, in your tribal community, you look out for the welfare of everyone. Okay, you take care of your own. You're not used to me, you're not used to this criminal element that I've been seeing for years. And when I say you're not used to it, I mean, this is all I see. I do mostly wrong with it.
I think it's more complicated than that, Karen. I think at the end of the day, when you look at all of this, it's not about helping people. Someone figured out a scheme, a fraudulent scheme. This all comes down to, think about it, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, it's just a fraudulent scheme. They figured out how to use a human being to defraud a system. They don't give a damn about helping people. You have to look at this in different perspectives. There is a target, aside from other communities. I know they're targeting other communities, but for natives, there is a specific target on our back. And for me, I am going to find out why they have a target on my people's back.
I have a target.
And it's tied to insurance, and that's what I'm going to focus on. Now, it's easy to say to tell us to go detox at a hospital. It's not that simple.
Right.
Simply not that simple. If that was the case, Jonna would have went there. If that's the case, this 19-year-old would have went there. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
As I've had the conversation with you in Indian country, it's not that simple for our people.
Yeah.
So this is a very complicated matter that we have to untangle. But I tell you, and I tell this to all of the tribal leaders and tribal councils, take the time to care about the people. Don't run the government, serve our people, serve the people. What I find is that we have these tribal leaders who think that they're running the government. You're serving the government, because if you were serving the people, you would be just as mad and frustrated as I am. You would have cared when Jonna called and said that these people did this to me.
Yeah.
As Jonna knows, we have not always agreed, but when I read her story, it didn't matter whatever happened between us in the past. I will stand beside this woman, because what happened to her should have never happened to her.
Widow.
And I guess my message, having done this for many years, my message to anyone listening out there, regardless of what your community, anything I don't know about the medical situation, do not come to California, particularly do not come to Southern California for non-medical rehab under any circumstances. I'll leave it there.
I just wanted to jump in too and touch on everything that we're talking about, because that was a question that has come to me from writing the story and reading about this and everything. Is, to me, it looks like the fraudsters are going to keep doing what they do until people start going to prison. Like my question with all this is, where are the criminal charges on these things? You've got people being defrauded. You've got people being tricked into getting on a plane and then having their stuff taken away. And regardless of what paperwork you do or don't sign, it doesn't give them the right to hold you against your will and hold your property without, like once you say, I want my stuff, they're supposed to give it to you. And for there not to be huge amounts of, perp walks of these guys getting arrested. Karen, as a lawyer, like, what is your take on that? Why are we not seeing these big criminal arrests and charges?
That's a very good point. So several years back, I had multiple cases against a place called Sovereign Health in Orange County. His name was Tanmoy Sharma. He was the director. He was stricken off the UK's psychiatry list as a doctor. He did have a degree, but wasn't licensed. He was in Southern California. He was all over the country on 60 Minutes. We got verdicts. We got settlements with him, but nothing happened criminally. They got raided by the FBI. Well, guess what? August 25th, 2025, Tanmoy Sharma was indicted. And if he is convicted, his trial was supposed to be in August this year. It's going to be in October, November now. It's just moved. If he's convicted, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. So justice moves more slowly, in the criminal matters. We thought something would have happened on the criminal end several years back. The cases that I've just recently resolved with Nathan Young, who people may know, 55 Silver, who Aetna sued and settled with, you end up, when you have a civil case, you're not prosecuting, but it doesn't mean you're not aware of criminal investigations by the Department of Justice. And sometimes plaintiffs, representing a lot of plaintiffs, though, they become witness in criminal matters. So all I can say is I know things are very active in that sense, but I have I don't know about what's going on, if anything is with Asana. But I agree, justice can never move fast enough when you're dealing with deaths and people, deprived of their rights, thrown out on the street when their insurance runs out. None of it's okay. What Jonna forgot to mention was she bravely reached a Good Samaritan, was smart enough to call on that phone. She, was able to get someone who was on it and came over to get her. And also the police came, right? So she, with her presence of mind, and she's running from the place with her belongings, that's what was just amazing to me. She had the presence of mind to know,
Do you also think, besides a legal analysis, does it really come down to, do we really matter? Because remember the one man from Friends, remember the guy who from Friends, he died?
Matthew Perry. I have a case against a facility where he was.
Let me finish this part. So Matthew Perry.
Okay.
When Matthew Perry got a hold of those drugs, remember, they went and found the drug dealer, everyone else, and there's prosecution there. I say that to say it mattered with him, but look at this, right?
Yeah, that's my concern too, is that this is a pattern we see with Native Americans.
So you bring up something very interesting, and I just happen to I have a lawsuit against Red Door Life, and they closed their doors just July 31st.
What I'm trying to make, Karen, is that when it comes to our communities, people that look like us, it takes a lot for people to be criminalized, for this to be criminalized, for swift action is the point I'm trying to make.
I don't doubt you one bit. And what I'm saying about the Matthew Perry matter is I've sued Red Door Life for a death case in that facility. Interestingly, the guy that was prosecuted along with the other doctors, and he's going to prison, his name is Eric, and I don't know his last name, but he was a dealer. He had originally worked at Red Door Life. And so that connection was there. And my client who died, he's Caucasian, he's not a tribal citizen, but his death, in his family, and they're not taking responsibility. We're into that litigation right now. But when I look at all the cases I'm handling, the big bulk of people who came out, they were absolutely targeted in shelters, whether they were poor Caucasians, poor whites, Hispanic, African American, the tribal citizens that I represent in those wrongful death cases, all of them were targeted. I'm not suggesting that I know about the specific targets, but they were all targeted out of homeless shelters. They were literally promised 2 years of free rehab, and all they have to do is pay $5. And then when they get them into these tenement apartment buildings with no food, they force the people to go on general relief, food stamps, take all their insurance money, and then dump them on Skid Row. And
here's something I'd like to say. You know, our tribes, and it's not just Mvskoke Creek Nation, all of our native citizens in Arizona, in South Dakota, they're all having these issues. And so we're all about MMIW or MMIP. Well, guess where a lot of our people are missing and we can't find them? They went to get help and they're not coming back. It's not just they're getting stolen by white people, you know? And with that being said, I want to know why we have programs like reintegration, why we have substance abuse programs, why we have domestic violence programs, and we promote them, but only if the government likes you. If they don't, you got a target on your back, and guess what? We don't listen to you. That's what is actually happening in our communities, because our governments are being allowed to be ran by just certain people and who they like. And because I'm very outspoken, I may have depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Yes, I am on disability for it. Do I deserve to be shamed by the tribe? No. Do I deserve to be shamed by anyone? No more than any of you do. We all bleed red. We are all humans. And at the end of every day, our tribe is not standing up for all citizens unless you do as they say. And I'm going to leave it at that. But I do feel very strongly that our administration needs a complete overhaul, including the council.
Hope, I wanted to jump in here. I want to thank you, Jonna, for that. I appreciate that. Hope, I wanted to ask you, because I know and this is in the story for the audience, but you had mentioned in one of your statements that the UAII had done an internal investigation and had spoken to the California Department of Justice and the FBI and everything. Is there anything, like, what was that experience like? Did it give you any hope for any prosecutions or anything?
The experience is disappointing. You would think that you would get swift action, and that's why I was saying earlier, do we matter? When we did the investigation, we learned that, these facilities, once the insurance companies red flag them, they close those LLCs and they pop right back up.
I don't know how much time we have left, but Wendy's trying to join.
Okay. Oh, is she? Hold on. Let me.
Sorry, Hope.
Oh, no, that's okay. But this is such a sophisticated, fraudulent scheme. I don't know how this is going to be even addressed. What other agencies are trying to, collaborate on this. Where do tribal nations stand is what I want to know. How many tribal nations, I don't know, Jarrod, what is your take on this? How many tribal nations have been speaking about this? What is Indian Health Services saying about this, right? What are urban Indian organizations? What is Nikuli saying about this? What does the new incoming Mark Cruz have to say about this? What is Senator Kennedy, not Senator Kennedy, but Secretary Kennedy saying about this? What is Indian country across saying about this matter? I want to hear from Indian country.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
I will say, and I will let the audience know, you guys should check out our story, because there are a lot of comments from citizens in Osage Nation and stuff that they're being affected by it, and they're saying, hey,
every tribe in Oklahoma, if they could get you to, if they just could talk to you and tell you how to get Blue Cross Blue Shield and get out there, and they made a buck, that's all they cared about.
Well, today, Jarrod, we got 2 Mvskoke, 1 Cherokee, and 1 Comanche. That's the thing today.
And didn't Creek Nation just open a drug rehab? Why are our people not being told to go where we can provide you care?
Yes.
And the number that's growing here is Cherokee. Yeah.
Jonna, where did you see that Wendy was trying to join? Because I don't see her.
She texted me and said waiting to join.
I don't have a notification for her in here saying that somebody's waiting to join the meeting. You might text her and see if she could try again, or because I've got it open. We've got 15 minutes left. I did want to get Wendy involved because she's got. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, she actually.
Wendy. All right.
Hi, Wendy. My daughter, once she realized that I was telling the truth, and she got me home, she went onto the website for Asana and she left a horrible Google review, which they deserved. And I guess that's how Wendy reached out to my daughter and found me. And then that's how I found Karen. And that's how this whole circle has worked.
Wendy, since you're here, I wanted to see if you could give us an update. I kind of read some of your email that you sent me earlier because I didn't know if you're going to be able to make the meeting. Could you give us an update on what's going on, like particular the doctor with Asana and those things you were telling me in the email?
Sure. Hi, good afternoon. Where the lawsuit stands right now is that Dr. Small is still in the lawsuit because Blue Cross has decided that he is the person that without him, none of this could continue. So the fight that's really happening in the courtroom right now is between Dr. Small and the owners of Asana, Mark and Adam Chandrau. Because when he originally started working there, he entered into an agreement with them that they would indemnify him and pay all of his attorney fees, but that did not happen. So where it's at right now is that it appears as if that lawsuit is going to continue, and it's at this stage. There's a hearing that's coming up next month that will continue Dr. Small's portion of the case.
Okay, Wendy, could you tell us a little bit about Jarrod's Law Foundation and how you got involved in all of this stuff?
Sure. I got involved I've been involved in this industry for about 30 years, but in 2004, my son passed away in a sober living home in California. And what I realized at that time was that there was absolutely no oversight or regulation. And it began my journey. And as I began this journey, I ran into so many other victims, just like me, who had sent their child to a facility and they came home in a body bag. So I began my journey as an advocate to find out why this is happening. And I realized quite quickly that a lot of the laws needed to change. So I've spent a lot of years pursuing legislation in an attempt to close up some of these gaps and create some sort of fail-safes. But my advocacy has led me down many pathways. I've been involved in many documentaries. There was a book that highlighted me in it. It's a great book. It's called The Rehab Scandal by Shoshana Walters. And it really is a scandal, the entire industry.
Yeah.
But that's just a little bit of background of how I got into this. I unfortunately lost my son in 2004 and began this journey. And what's really is interesting is full circle. I had really believed that at some point in time that sober living homes would be viewed with some sense of oversight. But what's happening is that the opposite has happened. The sober living home that we know of and we think of in our minds is no longer a sober living home. It's what we call a recovery residence, and it is affiliated with a treatment facility. So the landscape has changed so dramatically, which is why there's such an increase of human trafficking and body brokering, especially right now with what I've seen, and especially in the Asana case with Native Americans. That has been astronomical over the last couple of years.
So
Can I
go ahead, Joanne.
No,
go ahead.
Can I just add real quick that I even have spoke with a few people around here that don't realize that even if they were the ones doing the recruiting, they thought in their minds that they were actually doing something good and did something for themselves. Several of them have come back and relapsed, and we all have our faults, but it turns into a cycle. And the ones that are actually that were recruiting, yeah, they were putting money in their pocket, but I feel like the way they do it, they make them feel like they're doing something good. And as an alcoholic or drug addict or someone, when you feel good about yourself about something, you finally do it. And our citizens were getting used for that to come back and get their brothers or cousins or sisters and get them help. And most of them relapsed because none of them were getting real therapy out there. And so before we close, this is going to be my last statement. If you're a citizen, I don't care what nation, if this has affected you or you have been involved and thought you were doing something good and realized maybe later that you were caught up in something too, please feel free to reach out to my attorney and discuss those matters with her. Also, Hope is a wonderful leg on the ground for this fight, because that's what it is. We're all in a fight, and every one of us that are affected are in the, sometimes we're in it. It's the fight for our life. Yeah. And you know, it's really sad when your tribal government puts a target on your back. You know, I've never once been told, oh, come on, let us get you into this new rehab we got. Oh, no, it's they take and take and take if they don't like you. But if you're on the good side, they'll help you. And somewhere, this kind of stuff has to stop in our tribe, because all we do is people come in and they crawl to the top like a bucket of crawdads, and then they just pull everyone back down. And it's just not fair to everyone. So it makes me angry when our tribal government says we're here for all citizens, because I guarantee you they are not.
Wow. You know, Joanna, I want to say that, you know, Native Americans with tribal insurance, they have become a deliberate target. Yes. That is what I've discovered. And that is no accident.
Exactly.
No. Wendy, one of the things you had sent me in the email is some bullet points for anybody who's seeking help, warning signs that they need to look out for. Could you give those to the audience really quick, because we're almost out of time?
Actually, I could. I think I sent you a slide deck on that, so I don't have that right in front of me.
Well, is it on your website, the Jarrod's Law Foundation?
Yes, I'll go ahead and have that out there. But there are red flags, and I believe that, you know, one of the things that you need to do is you have to, you know, follow the insurance, not the treatment. I think that's the most important thing. When people are looking for a place, you want to find somebody who's not going to be profiting off of you. And there are definitely things that you should be aware of. When people are reaching out to you and offering you a free lunch, just know there is no such thing as a free lunch. When you're being offered free transportation and free housing and for anything free, it's not, because in the end, an insurance company is paying. And in really and truly, what I can say is that there's so much fraud in the inducement. They're going to lie to you and tell you anything and everything that you want to hear, because the incentive is not to get you into a great place. The incentive is to put money in the body broker's pocket, because that's their only interest. They have an interest in you. You no longer are a person. So that's one of the things to really look out for. And I'll be more than happy to spend some more time in getting more detail about the exact schematics of body brokering. But it really, what I'm seeing is that they've been able to easily hire people within inside of the tribes and pay them very well to make referrals. And not only that, they sell that dream. They're like, when you come home, you too can be not just a productive member of society, but you too can help other people. So they're preying upon what Jonna was just talking about. Mm-hmm. In the program, they really emphasize that you really can't keep what you have unless you give it away. There is that sense of community. So they really prey upon your vulnerabilities like that.
Absolutely. I just wanted to jump in because we're almost out of time. Hope, is there anything you'd like to add to the conversation right before our meeting goes down?
No, I agree. We definitely have to, I think, is educating our community, but also where we stand here at UAII, I want people to know that we are a safe place. That is what we want to stand for right now. Even when our tribal members come here that we believe who are victims of these programs, is they know this is a safe place. So we will welcome them here, because we want them to know if anything happens like what Jonna went through, you know you can come here. We also want everyone in our community to know across Indian country, if you have family members who have been brought to California, I don't care where they are at in California, reach out to us so that we can assist your families. I mean, I would like to partner with Karen and Wendy so we can learn more about this. The more that we come together, we can do what we can to fight against this. I know these individuals that we have in this room, they're the boots on the ground too. That's why I've wanted them here. You guys see the faces. These are the people that I work with. I am proud to stand alongside my team. They're the ones here who are doing a lot of the work. I'm the one out here who gets in trouble all the time. But they're the ones who are here doing the work, and I'm proud of them. But Jarrod, I just want people to know that we are here. We're here to serve our community. We're here, Jonna, to make sure they don't have to go through what you have had to go through. And we will make that commitment to you personally and to all those family members that are out here. Know that we are here.
I wanted to just echo what Hope said, because she's a fierce advocate. I have spoken with her. She ain't going to let anybody get away with anything. And so I want to reiterate, UAII, it's new to me, but I want everybody who's listening on this channel to write it down, UAII.org, and remember Hope's name, because they're really boots on the ground. Yes. And I've connected them with some of the people, we've connected with and higher up in government who can help, but that's the first place they should be going.
And you guys watching at home, there's a link to their website in the description of the video, as well as the Jarrod's Law Foundation website. I wanted to thank Jonah. Did you?
Just might also, Karen, drop your information there, because there are some that probably didn't know which avenue to take, and they need help. And that might want to step forward.
Absolutely. So. I'm just going to jump in because I think the meeting's about to go down, and I thank you guys for tuning in and joining us tonight. I really appreciate it, and your courage in bringing this issue forward. It takes a lot to go out and speak on this.
And for reporting it.
Absolutely. And you guys out there watching, thanks for joining us tonight. And we are going to have another live wire next week about a film that's going to be shown at the Circle Cinema on the 15th. So if you're interested in that, it's on Wednesday. So with that being said, Mado Hadam Jihijat, please.